Selling grilled cheese or anything else on Court Street might come with fines from the city. Find out about the new proposed city law.
China imposed new tariffs on U.S. agricultural products. We'll tell you what that means for Athens' local farms.
Plus, find out what inspired a local baseball coach to write a book about sports, parenting, and life. Newswatch at Noon starts right now. The controversial freedom of expression policy is in its final stages. Good afternoon, I'm Elise Hammond.
And I'm Connor Keurig. The Presidential Policy Advisory Group sent recommendations to President Nellis suggesting changes to the interim policy.
Newswatch at Noon reporter Tiffany Goldstein is live in the newsroom. Tiffany, what are the recommendations the advisory group is making to the president?
As expected, these recommendations for a new freedom of expression policy are controversial. The advisory group sent 24 recommendations to the president, which would restrict protests in public spaces like hallways and lobbies of university-owned buildings. Despite the recommendations, Ohio University faculty and students say they think the proposals are unreasonable.
One of the things that I don't agree with the policy is that the time restrictions on College Green, and that's one of the few things that I know about it, but since I've been at Ohio University, I know that it's been a place for students to not protest, but just show what they're feeling about a certain issue, whether they agree or disagree. So it's kind of weird that Ohio wants to strive in the direction to kind of limit speech instead of encourage it.
President Nellis will have the final say on the advisory group recommendations. From the newsroom, I'm Tiffany Goldstein.
Hocking College's former attorney will have to speak up in court because of a lawsuit against the college. A judge rejected the college's claim that its former general counsel doesn't have to answer questions because of attorney-client privilege. Former Hocking president Ron Erickson filed the lawsuit. Erickson wants to question Nicolette Diogardi about a meeting where they discussed firing another university employee. Erickson was forced to resign in 2014 and wants his job back. He accuses the college of gender discrimination and wrongfully firing him.
And we might want to sue Mother Nature over all this rain. We're going to check in with weather anchor Mary Pudster to get the latest on the severe weather watch that's going on right now.
Thanks, Elise. The National Weather Service has issued a flash flood watch for several counties, including Athens in southeast Ohio until 3 o'clock today. Residents of Athens, Morgan, Perry, Vinton, and Washington counties should all be mindful of low-lying areas that normally have flooding issues. Due to all the rain we've been getting, small streams and creeks are likely to overflow. Make sure to avoid driving in standing water, take detours, and turn around if you see standing water on any roads.
Thanks, Mary. We'll check back in with Mary for her complete 7-day forecast later this half hour. Despite mass teacher walkouts in states like Oklahoma and Kentucky, it is unlikely that protests over pay will happen here in Ohio. The Columbus Dispatch reports state law sets minimum prices for teachers in public school districts, and many districts pay more than the minimum. The price rate goes up depending on how long teachers have been working. Your kids could start school after Labor Day. A new bill in the legislature would push back the start date for kids in K-12 schools until September. According to a survey by the Ohio Travel Association, 60% of Ohio voters support the bill. The survey says those in favor of the proposal thought the later start would give more students more time for summer jobs and families would have a more uniform schedule for vacations.
Vendors in Athens may pay for their spots monthly instead of yearly if an ordinance introduced in City Council passes. Newswatch at Noon reporter Reagan McCurley was at last night's meeting and joins us live to tell us the ordinance could put a dent in fundraising activities by students who are moving into vendor spaces at night.
The measure, introduced by Councilman Pat McGee, would reduce the number of vendor spaces from 10 to 8. If passed, it would also remove vendor licenses from businesses that fail to operate for more than 3 months.
Vendors in Uptown Athens rent empty parking spots on East Union Street next to College Green. Currently, These are the only places in Athens where vendors can pay their $1,500 annual fee and operate their businesses. Most of the vendors sell food and drink. At night, when the food trucks leave, these empty spots become places where students sometimes sell food and fundraise for their student organizations. Rarely do these student organizations bother to apply for a vending license. Mariah Thompson, Vice President of Ohio University Recruiting Society, says most of the organization's funding comes from fundraisers, and getting a vending license is a lot of work.
Time to jump through all those hoops to get a license and go through all the whole processing. It's just easier right now.
Athens Mayor Steve Patterson says these rules apply to student organizations as well as full-time businesses.
You get a vending permit from the code office. You get approval from the Athens County Health Department that what you're selling is that it's handled properly, heated properly, all that good stuff. And again, you need written authorization from whomever owns the property in which someone wants to vend and set up a table.
Patterson says open flames and extension cords are prohibited. Patterson says students who are caught vending without a license will be first warned and eventually fined if they continue to ignore the rules.
In order to get a vending license, a person must file an application with the Code Enforcement Office and wait for approval. Reporting live from Schoonover Center, I'm Reagan McCurley.
Thank you, Reagan. To find out more about how students feel and the consequences to not having a vendor's license, go to woub.org. Gloucester residents will see the beginning of a construction project this month, one that could last until the fall. Columbia Gas of Ohio is starting a $1.3 million gas line replacement project. The job will affect about 140 customers, but only for a few hours when it comes time to connect to the new gas system. The work area includes Main Street, Spring Street, Fairlawn Avenue, and Broad Street. Any surface damage will be fixed by the end of the construction. Residents can attend an open house May 3rd at 6 p.m. at Trimble High School to learn more.
American farmers could have a tougher time selling pork and fresh produce after China imposed new tariffs on those items yesterday. But those tariffs are not likely to have much of an impact on our local farmers. Newswatch at Noon reporter Anna Hoffman is live to tell us why Athens farms may be protected from a growing international trade war.
Athens County residents rely heavily on produce from local farms. Many restaurants and other food vendors refuse to buy anything else. Because of that, some local farmers just are not worried about the new tariffs that China has put on American farm products. Over 30 local Athens restaurants use meat and produce only from farms within 30 miles of their businesses. Becky and Kip Rondi have owned Green Edge Farms in Amesville for over 20 years.
The reason our farmers market's almost 50 years old now, maybe 48 years now, I think, that's incredible that we have a farmers market that is that old and is thriving still.
Green Edge grows crops from kale to mushrooms, selling close to 10,000 pounds of crops each year, all grown right here in Athens County.
Green Edge Farms harvest crops year-round. They sell their crops at the Athens farmers markets all the way to Columbus.
Because of that, their businesses shouldn't be affected by these tariffs. Environmentalists in the area say they believe that these tariffs will eventually affect only big-name food stores that buy their goods from China instead of locally.
When you look around our Southeast Ohio communities, there isn't very much left except for going back to how it was when people started here, and that's agriculture.
Trace says farming is one of the few remaining occupations left in Appalachia, and it's an industry that becomes stronger as the tariffs are imposed.
The Athens Farmers Market sells crops at their East State Street location every Saturday. Reporting live from the newsroom, I'm Anna Hoffman.
Thank you, Anna. How involved is the Athens community in local farming? Find out the answer by going to woub.org. Governor John Kasich made a decision that could strengthen his bid for presidency in the 2020 election. Ohio is back in the National Governors Association. Public records show Ohio rejoined the bipartisan policy group in January for the first time in 8 years. Kasich withdrew the state from the group in 2011, citing budget concerns. This is part of an effort to improve his credibility for bipartisan deal-making. Sacramento's police chief talks about the struggles and imbalance after his officers shot and killed an unarmed African-American man.
Also coming up, today marks the 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King's speech in Tennessee. Listen to his prophetic words when we come back.
How long have we been married there?
For 76 years.
He was kind and generous to me before we married, and he was kind and generous to me all these years that we have been married. We had been looking at a lot of different houses in different places around that area, and when we came by this house, it was green, and I love green. I'm Irish. And so I said, oh, there's our house. I know it. We decided on Meals on Wheels because at my age, I was getting to the point where I couldn't do all the things that I had been able to do. We're the Spans. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
I'm Peter, and there's nothing I love more than sharing vegetables with my friends.
Come on in. Help yourself to anything.
That's why we give our food the utmost respect it deserves. Did you know there are simple steps we can all take to help save food? You can cook it, store it, even share it. Just don't waste it. Because when it comes to food, better ate than never. To learn more, visit SaveTheFood.com.
You don't have to be so strong.
Strength is not optional. This is my mother, my purpose. Real muscle is lifting her spirits between bedpans and bad news from doctors that doubt her strength. Strength is buried in bills, managing meds, and swallowing those moments of, Mom, it's me, your daughter. Remember? My strength is super, but I'm still human, right?
Find support for your strength. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community.
Trump administration officials are crafting a new legislative package aimed at closing immigration loopholes. Trump has been angry over immigration since realizing the major spending bill he signed last month barely funds his border wall he promised his supporters. Currently, more than 1,000 Central American migrants, mostly Hondurans, are traveling north through Mexico. This is the 7th time the migrant caravan has marched to the U.S. President Trump tweeted expressing anger towards the situation. The caravan of people are making statements about immigration as well as the conditions in their home countries. The wife and former FBI Director Andrew McCabe calls Trump's attacks a nightmare. McCabe faced criticism from Trump about donations made to her campaign. She ran unsuccessfully for the state Senate in Virginia in 2015. She spoke out for the first time Monday, saying that she only ran for office in the first place because she was trying to help people. But that, quote, it turned into something that was used to attack our family, my husband's career, and the entire FBI.
Sacramento's first black police chief is struggling to find the right balance of reforms after his officers fatally shot an unarmed African-American man. Chief Daniel Hahn says the city could rethink its policy on pursuing suspects after the death of Stephen Clark last month. But he warns every change brings consequences. Hahn says he had his own early run-ins with police growing up in a tough neighborhood in California's capital city. The judge presiding over Bill Cosby's trial has delivered 2 big victories to the defense. Judge Stephen O'Neill ruled that a woman who says his accuser was out for money can testify. He also ruled that the jury can hear the amount of the settlement Cosby reached with his accuser. Cosby's defense team plans to portray the accuser as a greedy liar who framed the comedian to get rich. O'Neill previously helped the prosecutor's case by allowing 5 additional accusers to testify against Cosby.
Today is the 50th anniversary of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech about St. Augustine. Dr. King delivered the speech about the St. Augustine riots on April 3, 1968. Dr. King spoke at Mason Temple in Memphis, Tennessee. This speech was in support of the striking sanitation workers at Mason Temple in Memphis.
This move is not to be construed as a settlement. As the saying goes, every 1,000-mile journey begins with the first step. The development of this development is merely the first step in a long journey toward freedom and justice in St. Augustine.
Assassinated April 4th, 1968. Commemorations are scheduled all across the U.S. in honor of one of the country's most influential and celebrated civil rights leaders. We heard about the flood watch. Find out what else Mother Nature has in store for us.
And former baseball coach Chris Stewart talks about what inspired his new book.
Hey, look, it's those guys.
What's up? What's happening today?
Let's hit those pearly whites, man.
Yeah! The boys, check it out. Stand up, do my terrorists, gon' compare us. Go!
Ooh, cute. Are you good to drive?
I'm fine. Hey girl, what's up? What's the name? What's good? What's up?
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Sir, go and step out of the vehicle for me.
Yes, sir. See ya, buddy. Today, Sean's got a hearing. We'll see how it goes. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
They call me Maxie, but I prefer tripod. I was your above-average four-legged homie, and then wham, bam, minivan. Some people pity me. Now that's lame. I still run, fetch, and swim. And the ladies love me. I'm the ultimate wingman. Just don't ask me to high five.
Responsibility.
Oh, it's huge. I know, it's huge.
And the salary.
Oh my god, yes. I
Right?
mean, like, I was about to move in with my parents, and right before, yeah, so this saved me.
I really believe in you, you know?
Thank you. It's nice to hear that from someone.
These are cool. Did you, what did you?
We are seeing very strange weather this April as parts of the country are experiencing heavy snowfall well into spring. Minneapolis is expected to see up to 8 inches of snow throughout the day. Parts of Wisconsin are under a winter weather advisory this morning, as some cities could see up to 12 inches of snow. Monday marked the 8th snowiest April day in New York City's history as 5 inches of snow covered the city. The Storm Prediction Center says severe weather may strike parts of Ohio in the coming days. Well, temperatures have been up and down so far, and today it might even reach 70 degrees.
But I'm not thinking those are going to stick around. Mary Puzder has the latest and the weather for the rest of the week.
Thanks, Elise. Thanks, Connor. We have, like you said, we have an opportunity to hit 71 degrees today, but right now it is 58 degrees and warm outside. Unfortunately, it rained this morning. It's going to rain again tonight, and right now, still raining. But we have a chance of thunderstorms, so hopefully you are ready and prepared for that. In our regional temperatures, we have the opportunity. Again, in Athens, we're at 58 degrees, and our highest temperature in this region is in Ironton, down in the south here. All the way in Newark is our coldest temperature at 53. Today, for our almanac, we have the opportunity, as we said earlier, the high today could get up to 51. Now, that's not as warm as it was back in 2010 when it was 88 degrees, but I think 71 is still pretty good, above average. Normally, it's 59 degrees around this time of year. And all the way down, our low tonight will be a low of 41 degrees. We have the opportunity to hit the normal of 36, but it should not happen. I will stick with 41. Our record low was 23 degrees all the way in 1996. The sunset will happen at 7:54 this evening. For our Pacificast, as you can see, we have a low pressure system coming in, and it's going to hit us tomorrow or later this evening. But right now we have all this green right here. That's all the precipitation coming in. So that rain, it's not going to stop. It's just going to keep coming. We have a warm front, so that is why we are having the opportunity to hit 71 degrees today. But it won't last. If you look right here, we have a cold front coming in as well. So if you want to be outside, today is the day for that. We have our afternoon highs today. Athens could hit that 71. Ironton still the hot spot at 75. Pretty warm still in Newark, 69 in New Lexington. For our evening lows, we have, it's going to definitely cool down tonight. We have, as I said earlier, it could get all the way down to 41 in Athens. Ripley, it's going to be 38. Ironton, 42, and 39 in Columbus. Lots of chance for thunderstorms. For our hour by hour tonight, we have isolated thunderstorms, and the storms will continue. It would be cloudy tomorrow morning. For our day by day forecast, it's definitely going to cool down. As you can see, we talked about how they're having weather craziness in April. It's definitely true. On Monday, we have the chance to see some snow again, 80% chance of that, and hopefully we will get to see the sun again on Thursday.
Thanks so much, Mary. And if you enjoy jazz or trivia, events are going on around Athens tonight.
That and more on our community calendar. March Madness is over. Let's find out, how did your brackets hold up?
All You Youth is over at the Sports Center to give us the details on the championship game last night.
Yes, that's right. Champions once again. The Villanova Wildcats defeated Michigan last night 79-61, becoming this year's NCAA national champions. Devontae DiVincenzo was the star of the game, scoring 31 points off the bench for Villanova. Mikal Bridges finished with 19 in what could be his last game before the NBA. And AP Player of the Year Jalen Brunson was celebrating despite an off night, scoring only 9 points and 2 rebounds. This was Villanova's second title in 3 seasons. Moving on to the mats, 4 Ohio Bobcat wrestlers made the academic All-MAC team. To qualify, the student athletes must have at least a 3.2 cumulative GPA and have participated in at least 50% of the wrestling contest. A total of 39 student athletes were named to the team. Colin Cummings, Trevor Gianlombardo, Cade Kowalski, and Joe Terry represented Ohio. Now to the baseball diamond we go. The Ohio baseball team swept the MAC Weekly Awards. Redshirted left-handed starting pitcher Gary Salisbury was named the MAC Pitcher of the Week, while freshman infielder Aaron Levy was named MAC Player of the Week. Salisbury had the best outing of his Ohio career in Game 1 of Saturday's doubleheader, having 11 strikeouts and 1 earned run in 7 innings. Levy showed his power last week, having 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, and 7 hits. Salisbury and Levy gave the Bobcats their first 2 MAC Weekly Award honorees of the 2018 season. The Ohio baseball team will be closing their current 4-game homestand tonight as they take on Shawnee State. Ohio ranks as one of the MAC's top hitting teams. They lead the league in slugging percentage, hits, doubles, home runs, and runs. They also ranked second in batting average and third in on-base percentage. The Bobcats and Bears will face off for the second year in a row at Bob Wren Stadium, where Ohio won 9-1 in 2017. First pitch is set for 6 p.m. The Ohio softball team will be taking on Kent State in a doubleheader starting at 3 p.m. today. Kent State has beaten the Bobcats 4 of the last 6 games. However, the Bobcats are coming off a 3-game sweep of Eastern Michigan and have now won 9 in a row while being 6-0 in the MAC. The women will look to improve their record to 20-2 with 2 wins today. When Chris Stewart resigned as the head coach of Athens High School, he had just completed one of the most successful runs in school history. He used his newfound free time to take on a new challenge, writing a book. Newswatch at Noon reporter Tyler Corbett has the story.
After 8 years in the making, former Athens baseball coach Chris Stewart completed his book, Building Champions. Stewart's resigning as head coach in June pushed him to finish his book.
About midway through the summer, I was just getting that itch to think about how I can continue to contribute to the sports community, to the baseball community, but more so the entire sports community.
It was a year of transitions for Chris Stewart. First, from baseball to softball, and then from coach to author. This year, Stewart sees himself on a different diamond. After coaching his son for 4 years, he is now helping coach his daughter's Athens softball team. Being a player, coach, and fan is what Stewart's book is all about. Stewart experienced all of this in his time coaching both of his children, which was a driving force behind the book.
It makes it difficult, I think, for you as a coach and for him as a player, because you're going to have to make decisions that other parents or people are going to disagree with.
Much like facing the challenges of coaching his own children, there were many challenges writing the book, the biggest being whether he thought his experiences deserved to be written about.
I always think to myself that people who write books are experts on subjects, and so what do I have to say that can actually be a book that somebody else would actually want to pay money for and read?
While Stewart's time as a head coach is over for now, he did say that he plans on returning to the baseball diamond and maybe writing a second book too. Reporting for Newswatch at Noon, I'm Tyler Corbett.
To read about Stewart's decisions to step away from Athens baseball and the inspiration behind his book, visit woub.org. From one high school to another, the Eastern Eagles have had a perfect start to their baseball season so far. The Eagles continued perfection, beating Federal Hocking 14-2. Eastern is now 7-0 overall and 3-0 in the Tri-Valley Conference. Averaging 13 runs a game, the Eagles look to remain undefeated when they take on Wamaha of Mason, West Virginia next Tuesday. Lastly, we go to the Major League, where the Cleveland Indians shut out the Los Angeles Angels last night. Edwin Encarnacion had to get his Streaks cleats out for this game. In the second inning, Edwin hit a deep fly ball all the way back to the wall, and a weird bounce plus confusion from left fielder Justin Upton allowed Encarnacion to continue trucking around the bases for his second inside-the-park home run of his career, giving Cleveland their first run of the night. And while up 2, Alexander Alonso hit a deep solo shot to give the Indians a 3-0 lead in the 4th inning. The Indians went on to win 6-0 against the Angels, and the two will play again tonight at 10. And that's all I have for sports, so I'm going to toss it back to Connor and Elise at the anchor desk.
Thanks so much, Augie. Local soldiers returning home after being deployed for nearly a year. They were part of the Ohio National Guard's 2nd Battalion of the 285 soldiers were welcomed home with a parade route through McConnellsville Saturday. NBC4 reports Sergeant John Lambert says he's happy to be home with his family, and one thing he looks forward to doing is watching TV. His wife Mary says it's a hard process to watch him leave and then come back, but nothing beats their children's excitement when they see their father. That's it for Newswatch at Noon today. Tune into Newswatch this evening at 6:30 for more local and regional news.
And we'll be back tomorrow at noon with a look at new prescription drug that's being abused in Athens.